I think that when you can connect to what matters to you, your desires of your heart, what I'm calling the desires of your heart, what you know in your gut is important to you, that your work is more valuable for the organization and your life is more fulfilled. And that's really what I'm committed, is to people having fulfilled lives. So Chris Barbick is driving to work, and he's going to go teach school to, he was a school teacher at the time, to children that were really less fortunate. And he saw a guy on the side of the road with a jackhammer breaking up concrete. And he said to himself, I'd rather do that than go teach the kids the way they want me to, because it's not making a difference. And at that moment, he said to himself, I can do it differently. And Chris took about changing the game of education. He became a game changer. He stood for something. He had a commitment to kids. So he mortgaged his home to start a school. He got 2 or 3 teachers that were interested, and they went about really impacting education. And they actually have, we'll talk a little bit more today. But what does it take? So what did it take to be a game changer? What does it take? One of the things that I've found is it takes really listening to the desires of your heart. So the thing I invite you to do is really look at what's your heart telling you and what are you going to stand for? And again, a stand is not something you just talk about. It's not something that's just a good idea. It's not something it'd be nice if it happened one day. It's something that you say, this shall be. When you closed your eyes a moment ago and you were thinking about what you'd like to change, what would that require you standing for?
You really have to take a stand and have the courage to go for it.
And one of the things that we did was we looked at what's the current situation. So if you want to change the game, you have to look at what's the current situation. Now I want you to know that oftentimes we really don't look at the current situation because we don't really want to confront it. And sometimes we can't see it because we're like fish in water, so you can't see it. So it's really helpful to have a coach or a supporter or somebody helping you look what's really currently happening. And what I'd like for you to do, in a few minutes you're going to have a chance to really create, what are you here for? Because you can come in with all those conversations, we call them background conversations. You come in with the conversation in the background. We have those conversations, don't we, when we're doubting ourselves and when we're concerned about how things are going to go? I want you to consider that if you can distinguish it, that's one particular kind of background conversation, you can have it versus it having you. Because otherwise we think that's us, don't we? We don't think that's separate from us. We think that's just how life is. Every one of you has a different gift. And I believe every one of you here is probably here for a different purpose. So the thing that I would invite you to, when you start to notice, and I will tell you, I have spent many a day trying to prove myself. And I was the only woman on the leadership team of the bank for probably 10 or 12 years. And when the guys would start agreeing on something that I knew really was not right, I would have this conversation with either I would try to prove my way. I didn't just stand boldly and say, look, I really think this is how this is. The conversation I would have in my head was, oh, they're smarter than me. I would have this conversation about, maybe I don't know. And that started happening, and I started noticing more and more that actually I needed to speak up because my thought came true. We don't realize sometimes that we've taken ourselves off the court. So, when we're working together, when we're working with our team members, I equate that to a sports analogy, on the court. And when things are difficult, or sometimes when people aren't listening to my ideas or my teammates aren't working well together, sometimes we take ourselves off the court. We put ourselves in the stands, and we don't realize that we do that. And one of the things that I've found that my clients have told me and the audiences have told me is that one of the things they start recognizing is that they've put themselves in the stands. Nobody puts us there but us. We take ourselves away. And once you can see that, then you have a choice. So the question is, this is your year. This is your time. This is your opportunity. It's your time. You are people that can change the game. The question is, what will you do? What's one thing you'll take on? What's one thing that inspires you? What's one thing that you said, I can do that? Just because you say so, not because somebody gives you permission. And not because you need to prove that you can do it because you don't have the right pedigree or university or degree or the right, or the right name. I mean, I went to Sam Houston. I mean, it wasn't a bad school, but I didn't go to Harvard, and I'm coaching PhDs from Harvard. When we can get connected to the desires of our heart, that our lives have meaning. And it doesn't have to be to put a man on the moon. It can be to impact your team or to impact your client, to do that. And so one of the things that happens out of my talks is that the audience members gets a sense of what matters to them. They get the idea that there's something that matters, and we give them some time to really look at that.